I'm not doing it.
Come on, you have to.
No, it's going to be stupid.
It's not stupid, it'll be fun.
No,
I'll deflate you.
I wish you would. You're not gonna leave me alone unless I do it, are you?
No, I'm not.
Fine.
Yay!
1,
You're like a dream come true.
2,
Just wanna be with you.
3.
Girl, it's plain to see that you're the only one for me.
Oh God, I wish I were dead.
I don't hear
Hey, I finally get to talk about Deadly Premonition! Deadly Premonition, or Deadly Premonition Origins, depending on what console you play it on, is a 2010 survival horror game. It's actually a reboot of a cancelled game called Rainy Woods. They used the assets and added a new story and protagonist. The reason it was cancelled and changed to Deadly Premonition is because there were criticisms about it being too similar to Twin Peaks. So, instead of tweaking it, they chose to postpone it until we got what we did. It's kind of a shame. As much as I love Deadly Premonition, I would have liked to play Rainy Woods.
FBI Special Agent David Young Henning.
After its release, it received such wildly different reviews that it currently holds the Guinness World Record for most critically polarizing survival horror game. Which I can understand. When you talk to people who've played the game, they either love it or hate it. There seems to be no in-between. You see a lot of Twin Peaks influences throughout this game since the creator is quite the fan, as you'll see. So if you enjoyed that series, you might like this.
They're very particular about biscuits, I'll have you know.
Normally this is where I talk about the actors, but there's not a whole lot of info. Jeff Kramer, the voice of the lead Special Agent Morgan, did voices for loads of video games before stopping at Deadly Premonition, then did nothing between the first and second game. It's a shame, he's a good actor. Oh, and he's a Gemini. Okay. Casey Roberts, who plays Sheriff Woodman, hasn't done anything since 2015. And Rebecca Wink, Emily's voice actress's last project, was the Lego Movie game in 2014. Is this game cursed or something? There's only a few people in the cast that seem to be active in the acting world. Melissa Hutchinson, who plays Anna Graham, has a fairly strong career. Erin Cahill, who did additional voices, was Rebecca Chambers in Resident Evil Vendetta, and Beverly Hills Chihuahua too, y'all. And finally, Roger Jackson. Yes, that Roger Jackson. Don't recognize his name? I bet you'll recognize his voice.
Hello?
Deadly Premonition has ties to the Scream franchise. Oh, he was also in Strapped On, Slutty the Clown 2. Oh good, I was wondering when they'd make a sequel. Oh god, I just realized I'm gonna have to talk about these movies eventually, aren't I? Hey, let's talk about the game now and forget about what we just saw. Yeah, this game, it's really weird. The game opens in a forest where a grandfather, Jim, is taking his weird-looking grandkids, Isaac and Isaiah, on a walk through Greenvale Forest Park. They come into a clearing and the boys find a nude young woman disemboweled and crucified on a tree in what appears to be a ritualistic sacrifice. The sheriff and his deputies make it to the crime scene where the deputies mourn and the kids are totally cool. They do actually explain later why the kids don't seem to be affected by what's going on. As expected, the entire town is devastated. Anna's mother is inconsolable along with her friend Becky. I like this scene with Thomas breaking down because his sister is like, dude, do you have to do this here? She looks so annoyed. Remember how I told you this game was weird? Well, this is the Red Room. Yeah, it's kind of like the Red Room from Twin Peaks. I told you. Yeah, you and me both, dude. This part is incidental to the plot. It's just to show the player how to pick up items and moving controls. We'll be back to this room shortly. This is Special Agent Francis York Morgan, an FBI agent sent to the small town of Greenvale to investigate Anna's murder. Just call him York. Everybody does.
They both need each other. It's called interdependency, and they both know it.
You know, game, I don't think he's distracted enough. He should be putting on lipstick while juggling on top of it. At first, listening to his conversation, you think he's talking about a case with a fellow agent until...
Yeah, I know. He does terrible things to Tom. Nasty, even sadistic things. But that's fine, as long as that's what Tom wants.
Yep. He's psychologically breaking down Tom and Jerry's relationship. Anyways, York loses his connection and talks to Zach about a possible link he thinks involves Anna's murder.
These puppies are making me go to another town in the boondocks again.
So, Zach. Zach is somebody that York talks to in his head. Kind of. I can't really tell you what Zach's deal is, just in case you haven't played this game, and this video intrigues you enough to want to play it. So what I can say, based on my thoughts the very first time I played it, I thought York was referring to the player as Zach. Which is intentional, but it gets weirder than that. Yeah, get ready to hear the word weird a lot in this video, because I don't feel like getting out a thesaurus. But let's pretend for now York is talking to us. We're Zach. York offhandedly mentions how he got his scars, something that oddly comes up multiple times in the game, in which he was attacked by a Catwoman wannabe. His words, not mine.
See this? I got this when I arrested the Catwoman wannabe. Women, they're crazy. Don't you agree, Zach?
They sure are, York. They sure are. While becoming distracted by a lighter refusing to light, shocking, I know this character would be distracted while driving, he sees a man in a bloody yellow raincoat in the middle of the road and swerves to avoid him, sending his car into the woods. I don't know. See, if I were driving at night in the middle of nowhere and it was raining and I saw a guy in a bloody yellow raincoat holding an axe, I think I'd roll that die and just hit him instead of ending up putting lotion in the basket. So, you're gonna hit the brake there, or...? Squirrels sound exactly like a monkey, right? I swear I didn't add that sound effect. That's really in the game. York survives the rollover crash and crawls out and dusts himself off, because if he died here, it would be a really short game. Can you imagine you buy the game and that was just it? It was credits? It's like, I don't know if I would be mad or just really impressed. Okay, that actually made me laugh, but it was mostly from the weird look the designers gave him here. The game kind of dips into that weird, almost uncanny valley feel to it, but not as much as you'd think. Here's the first time you're able to control York, and I'll admit, the controls aren't great. This was the first time I understood what people meant when they said game controls felt clunky. It's not unplayable by any means, and it's pretty standard controls, and once you get used to it, you don't notice it as much, but oh boy do you notice it when you're first trying to learn the game controls. Take that, you bitch-ass fence. York begins profiling the scenario he's in. This is something that happens multiple times in the game. The goal is to find clues to solve a mystery in the area. In this case, it's who was in the middle of the road and if they're connected to the murder. You know, I'd probably go with yes, but I'm not an FBI agent.
Looks like we're being welcomed. Zach, I'll let you handle the meet and greet.
Yeah, sure, whatever you say, York. Look how spooky scary the sky is. Oh, it's a barrel. Can I shoot it? Oh, well, it explodes. Sorry, York. I'm a terrible Zach. Why is there a barrel that can explode on this hiking path? It seems like a liability. So York continues down the path, and here's a dog being butchered. He follows the noise to find... Oh good! Someone killed Laddie. It's about time. York investigates the area briefly, and I do mean briefly, before moving on, because finding a very recently brutally murdered animal ain't York's problem. It's probably nothing. Dogs just naturally turn themselves inside out, right? York sees a barefoot woman covered in blood entering a utility shack and thinks, yeah, I gotta get in on whatever is going on here. Oh sweet, canned pickles. I am definitely okay with eating whatever is in this rusted rundown shack. York, not finding the woman, decides he's gonna just mess around with this random control panel for a generator, which lucky for him opens up a locked door further down the path and doesn't electrocute him. These enemies are just called shadows, and are the main enemies in the game who appear in the Red World or when you're outside late at night. The ones with melee weapons will cover their heads with a weapon to protect against headshots, and later on there are ones who have guns. If you let them get too close to York, they'll literally shove their whole arm down his throat or lift York up and choke him. Gross. After York kills the Shadow Lady, he finds more outside the utility shed. Unless the game forces you to by blocking your way forward, you really don't need to fight them. They aren't difficult and your main gun has unlimited ammo. I usually fight them because they drop money or items when you kill them. But like, it's really up to you how you want to play. I mean, you can just run right past them without any real issue. You know, I can't help but notice this is a really weird walking path. It winds around the woods, has parts blocked off by fences, then goes through an area that looks like a place the general public probably shouldn't be allowed.
I've been through a lot of crazy situations, but that one takes the cake.
It's the first time I've been attacked so directly.
Really? You're an FBI agent, and what, were the scars that the Catwoman gave you an indirect attack?
Can you give me a logical explanation about what that was?
Well...
Never mind, don't answer.
You know, fine. Don't ask a question if you don't want the answer, York. As York makes his way out of the woods, he's attacked by the man in the raincoat. Ugh, QuickTime events are bullshit. I'm always bad at them and I panic and pick the wrong buttons. After York manages to evade the raincoat killer, he wags his finger at York and runs away.
There's definitely something in this town.
You don't say!
Do you feel it, Zach? My coffee warned me about it.
Coffee?
Yesterday morning, the milk I poured in my coffee made a sign. It said, "Tomorrow you'll arrive in a place that will change your fate."
How long has the coffee been talking to you, York? York finally finds the main road where it stops raining, so he makes his way downtown, walking fast. Faces! Wow, he has to run pretty damn far in a suit and dress shoes, doesn't he?
Now you were very late.
Really, that's it? You're not even remotely curious as to why an FBI agent is walking down the road, in the rain, in a suit, carrying nothing? Nothing? You got nothing?
FBI Special Agent, Francis York Morgan. Please, just call me York.
See? Told you. Everybody calls him York.
If you don't mind me asking, did you walk all the way here?
Look, okay, I do like Emily as a character, but that was a really stupid question. Well, she finally asked a question. Not one I would ask, but...
My car broke down, that's all.
Yeah, broke down. That's what happened. Oh my god, someone say something!
She's easy on the eyes.
Not that!
Definitely worth a trip to the primitive world.
Dude, she's standing right there and you're saying this out loud.
By the way, don't mention anything about what happened back there.
Yeah. I won't say anything, York. Shh.
Welcome to Greenvale. I'm the sheriff, George Woodman.
No. Judging by those pants and mustache, it looks like you wandered in from a 70s porn set.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan.
York, stop shoving your badge in people's faces. Just hold it up like a normal person. Hey. George questions why the FBI felt the need to send someone, to which York dances around the question and claims it's to help profiling future killers.
You can have your profiling sample, but I need you to understand that.
Of course.
Wow, that was kind of a dick move on York's part. I'm gonna assume he didn't mean to blow smoke in their faces?
By the way, George, I had a little accident with my car. Could you send someone to take care of it? Oh, and my clothes and luggage are still inside.
All right, don't worry. I'll get my assistant Thomas to take care of it.
Oh, Thomas is going to recover the vehicle on his own, and nobody questions the car accident, by the way. It's just,
Unlike some of your corrupt city police officers, I play it by the book. I hope you'll come to appreciate that, Agent Morgan.
Ooh, he used York's last name instead of what everybody calls him. York gets into the car, and I wouldn't be shocked if they just left his ass there. And this ends the prologue. Chapter 1 opens in the Red Room, where we saw the twins as angels in the very beginning. York walks through a freestanding door into a long path and is called by a small child. And let's be honest here, we all know that this is young York. He reappears later in the game, furthering York's backstory. But for now, he just shows the player you have the option to press a button to hold your breath to sneak by the shadows. I never did this, to be honest, because I always forgot it was an option. York wakes up the next morning in a giant bed. Holy shit, look at the size of that bed. If I had a bed that size, I'd sleep in a pillow fort every night.
The symbolism in my dreams continues to intensify. A forest of red trees, a carpet with red leaves, a strange doll, and twin angels. But that child is what bothers me the most. I swear I've seen him before. I just can't remember where.
You should really stop smoking, York. So in this hotel room, you have the option to change into different clothes for York. If you stay in one suit too long, you start to stink and people will hold their noses around you. Which actually is kind of funny because, you know, social norms, you can't do that without coming off as rude, and you just gotta smile and pretend like the person you're talking to doesn't smell like 7 layers of ass. You can also choose to shave and keep York clean shaven, or never shave and give him a kind of a douchey looking beard and mustache. Very wispy looking. After his reflection cigarette, a quick shave, and a look in the mirror, looking sharp, York, he heads to the hotel's dining room for some coffee where we meet Polly Oxford, a woman with the posture of Master Roshi.
We're all out of pepper. I'm very sorry.
It must be difficult to run a hotel by yourself.
You should be able to beat him now!
Polly, it might help to hear you better if you could sit a little closer.
What?
Oh my!
What?
Mr. Morgan, you're embarrassing.
The music's
me.
too loud, I
So
can't.
early in the day, too. It won't do to be all clumped together with such a large table and cafeteria. We have to make use of all this space.
Oh my god, this song now has kazoos.
Did you see that, Zach? Clear as a crisp spring morning. F.K. in the coffee. I knew I could count on it. Never fails.
Does the FBI know you're using bean water and cream for leads? Or is that a course in Quantico I'm unaware of? Hey, FBI agent guy, hey, do you guys use bean water for leads? Huh? Bean water having bitch? After he finishes his weird coffee premonition, he gets outside to find a police car waiting for him along with the keys and a note, letting the player know when the police station opens. Why does the police station close? It just seems like a police station shouldn't close.
I have to tell you, Zach, this place simply amazes me. The keys were left on the front hood, and nobody stole the car.
I mean, yeah, the hotel is out in the middle of nowhere at the edge of town. I doubt anybody would go through that much trouble to steal a car. They have meth to do in this tiny town. So with this, you get to drive a car and you can get around the small town. I always hated driving the car and I avoided it if I could. The controls are terrible. You tap in either direction, the car swerves, but makes huge turns, and Lord help you if you miss a turn and have to back up or make a U-turn. Another issue is the map isn't stationary. It moves with you and you can't really zoom in or out enough to get your bearings. What I do enjoy is sometimes while driving, York will talk about horror movies and their backgrounds to Zach.
Hey, remember? Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? Filmed in 1978. Produced, directed, written, and edited by John DeBello. It was really awful, but for some reason I still remember it pretty well.
Do you see why so many people love this character? I would sit in the car just to listen to him talk about different old horror movies or him reminiscing about video stores. York makes it to the police station, commenting on the building while being drowned out by the soundtrack. Seriously, listen.
The exterior lookwork is spectacular. Don't you agree, Zach?
And meets Thomas at the reception desk.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan.
Dude, again, he does this every single time he introduces himself to somebody, by the way. Might as well smush it against their cheeks. York asks Thomas if he can see Anna's file, but Thomas lost the key to the filing room and goes off looking for it, leaving York in the entrance.
Zach, Thomas appears to be the kind and sensitive type.
I agree, Thomas is actually one of my favorite of the 3 officers that you meet. After the cutscene, the player can wander around the police station, at one point finding Thomas totally not looking for the key. I guess York's just gotta do everything around here. Anyway, you screw around the police station finding, that. And if you go into the sheriff's office, York says this.
A hunting rifle. Amazing. You'd never see a hunting rifle on the wall of a police department in the city. That's just amazing. I wonder if the sheriff would ever let me shoot it.
That's actually kind of adorable. Eventually you find Thomas's key. I can't help but wonder why there's so many keys with squirrel keychains on it, and the plot can move forward.
The victim's name was Anna Graham. Age 18, she just recently graduated from high school this year. Her dream was to move out to the city and become a model. Financially, they seemed to get by fine, and they led normal lives.
A normal life is exactly what a curious teenager doesn't want.
He's not wrong. Anna wanted to be a model, and she would have to leave the tiny town to do it.
City folk, huh? No, I take that back. All of them can't be as bad as him.
Yeah, I appreciate they give York flaws, but man, can he be a real inconsiderate, arrogant ass at times. But he does have a lot of redeeming qualities.
That's amazing. What are you doing in law enforcement? They're very particular about biscuits, I'll have you know. The balance of milk and butter you've achieved here. Oh my.
Oh, don't mind us, York. Just keep eating your biscuit. It's not like there's an active murderer in this town or anything. George, Emily, and York head to the hospital while Thomas stays behind. They meet Fiona, or Freckly Fiona as the game names her. Go ahead, York, you know you wanna.
I'm FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan.
York notices Fiona is reading a book that's basically the plot of Twin Peaks, and this game, and Wind River, and Broadchurch, and Vanish by the Lake, and Fargo, and a lot of other media now that I think of it. Oh hey look, I found Judd Crandall. Fiona tells the group the doctor is in the computer room, but when they get there, he's nowhere to be seen.
Does the doctor like playing games by any chance?
What do you mean?
Subtle. The doctor, instead of meeting the investigators of a murdered young woman, makes them do a puzzle to reveal his location.
The doctor awaits below with the deceased.
Another code?
No, Emily. The morgue. He's in the morgue.
This is not the time to be joking around, Agent Morgan.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Pornstash here. I really hated this part. Not because of the puzzle itself, it's actually a pretty fun one, but it's kind of putting a murdered woman's case on the back burner. They don't know who the killer is, and examining the victim for evidence should be top priority. But instead, they have to stroke this doctor's ego first. And the thing is, his character is fine. It's just the introduction to him makes you hate him. The three finally make it to the morgue and meet the doctor named Usha Johnson.
Next time, try challenging us without obstructing an investigation.
Yeah, no shit. Usha shows York Anna's body, giving them a rundown on Anna's autopsy. He estimates Anna was killed between 8 and 10 p.m.
Note that there are 2 exterior wounds, pressure marks around the neck, and a long cut running from chest to abdomen.
Usha points out Anna's hand had an indent that was indicative to holding a circular item, but nothing like that was at the scene. She also had a fractured skull, but he believed it happened post-mortem.
The direct cause of death was loss of blood from the wound.
Which means?
She was cut up while she was still alive.
It was inserted beneath the sternum and then quickly sliced downwards. The excessive loss of blood from her internal organs is what actually killed her.
Doc notes that she has no defensive wounds or skin cells from her attacker under her nails, so it leads him to believe she was drugged because she was killed without resistance.
The most tragic thing, however, was that she was unable to speak her story to anyone who could hear her cries.
The perpetrator cut out Anna's tongue.
Mm-hmm. So even if she wanted to call out for help, she couldn't because she was too busy choking on her own blood. An 18-year-old woman went through this. Ugh.
Now, the killer most likely has a deep, traumatized past concerning women. He probably cannot converse with them normally. He must get off on watching women suffer, especially when they can't answer back.
Why is this medical doctor profiling the killer? I mean, I guess if he was a psychiatrist, I could kind of see that making sense, but he's not. Plus, he's saying this to York, someone who profiles professionally.
He watched as the blood pumped from her body, as she gradually grew cold.
Is this really appropriate music for the dialogue? I mean, can you imagine watching an intense scene in a movie and goofy music like this was playing in the background?
The counselors weren't paying any attention. They were making love while that young boy drunk.
Kind kind of sucks the emotion and tension right out of it, doesn't it?
Asha, please, limit your report to your findings as a doctor. Criminal profiling is my job. You're wrong, also. Anna died fully, deeply, painfully aware of what was happening to her.
But,
What time did it stop raining on the night Anna was killed?
Just before I went to bed, right after the movie on TV ended, so around 1 a.m.
What movie was it?
An American Werewolf in London.
Directed by John Landis, 1981.
Oh, shit. God damn it. We're losing him. All right, look. Rule number 1, don't mention horror movies around dorks like me and York, because this happens.
From her lack of resistance, I'd say that Anna's injuries happened very quickly. Unable to speak, she was then left to cry herself to death. The perpetrator stayed with her for at least 2 hours until it stopped raining. But you can still see tear marks on her cheeks. That means she was killed under a roof somewhere. She was then carried into the woods after it stopped raining. He's a passionate kisser. This was a kiss of death.
The perpetrator bit off Anna's tongue.
York examines Anna's body before taking an instrument and removing a small red seed from deep in her throat.
This case is now under the jurisdiction of the FBI. I'm assuming command. I'll need you to assist me in the investigation.
As you can imagine, George isn't too happy, but relents after York explains why he's taking over the case by placing multiple evidence bags from different cases containing the same type of seed on the autopsy table. York leaves and goes back upstairs for a smoke, while still in the hospital, mind you, and notice he's been dragged back into the Red World. I should probably mention that the Red World is kind of like Silent Hill. No one else can see or go into the Red World. Only York, as far as we know at this point anyway. So like at the beginning of the game, York must fight his way through the Red World Hospital, all while looking for clues. But this time he's being led around by the ghost of Anna. York makes it to the entrance, but the front door becomes blocked. This is the first time you come across shadows with guns, as I mentioned earlier. And oh man, do you not want to be shot by them, as they take a nice chunk of your health, and if you're not paying attention, you can get cornered by 2 of them and get killed. They're the only ones I hated dealing with. York is freed from the Red World, and is immediately called out for smoking in the hospital by George. Good on him. All 3 go to leave when York notices these 2 odd characters. They're actually one of the more enjoyable characters in the game. I really dig Harry's mask.
Who's that old man?
That's Harry. Harry Stewart. His father started up the lumber trade and founded this town. He's a weird one, as I'm sure you can see. Always dressed like that, never speaking to the townsfolk. And just FYI, he owns almost the entire town.
I like that the game calls Harry a mysterious capitalist. Just say old rich dude.
Mr. Francis York Morgan. With each rain, our town goes mad. To our disdain, unpreventable. So sad. So says Mr. Stewart.
Harry, stop trying to get in our way. Keep this up, and even you'll have to answer to the law.
Go fuck yourself. So says Mr. Stewart.
That's how he always is. Always spouting that nonsense. Don't give it any thought.
Man, you do not know York very well, do you? Dude uses his morning coffee as premonition. Oh, I just got the title. Thomas contacts Emily to let her know the grandfather and the twins are available to talk to York at the site they found Anna.
You can interview them where they found the dead body.
Excellent. I was just about to ask if you could take me there.
You know, in normal circumstances, bringing a child back to a place they were traumatized is a bad idea. But these kids, soulless behind the eyes. York introduces himself to Jim Green, the grandfather, who is the forest park warden.
You're doing a fine job.
Well, I used to be a tree surgeon.
Oh, get the hell out of it. His last name is Green. He's the forest warden, and he used to be a tree surgeon and lives in Greenvale. Oh yeah, and George's last name is Woodman. I forgot about that. How many other tree-based names are there?
These children were the first to witness the crime scene. I want to talk to them.
Come on, they're just kids. They have no idea what really happened to Anna.
That doesn't matter.
How heartless. Do you ever think of other people's feelings, ever?
Okay, wait. There's a completely different way to interview children in cases like this, and Emily should know that as a police officer. York wouldn't talk to them like he would adults. He would bring them in, make sure they're comfortable with him, ask them about themselves, their likes, their dislikes. He'd ask them what they did that morning to gauge how well they recall events, let them know they're in a safe place, make sure they understand the difference between a lie and the truth, and then he would draw trauma out of the kids carefully and back off when it's clear they're starting to shut down. If I know that, I'm pretty damn sure an FBI agent does too.
That's stone cold, even for the sake of investigation.
Children see things in pure, simple terms.
Correct. Children are very observant, as I'm sure many parents in my audience know.
Are you serious?
I never joke about matters like this.
Oh yeah, strap in. York makes really weird faces throughout this whole game. I think that was supposed to be a smile.
Anna, she was so pretty. She had a red dress on. Her hair was shining. Bright gold hair. Anna was the fairy of the forest. She was a goddess. She smiled when she saw us. She looked so happy.
You know, if a child told me this after finding a mutilated corpse of someone they love, I'd assume the trauma was so great they invented a fantasy as a way to protect themselves from said trauma. Which kids can and have done, but with these kids, it's what they actually saw. York handles what they said well. He doesn't try to dismantle the fantasy, rather play into it, which is sometimes the best approach. York approaches the tree Anna was tied to, and begins his profiling after the player finds the 4 clues scattered around the area. The clues being bent pieces of grass in front of the tree, a heel of a pinheel shoe, a picture of a man wearing a vest with a hole in the back bearing an upside-down peace sign, and a chip of rusted metal.
As you requested, we have permission to stay and look around as needed. But what are you planning on doing?
To examine the scene, of course. Basic crime investigation 101. We might uncover some further evidence.
My men have covered this already.
Nice work, guys. You only missed 4 big pieces of evidence.
Agent Morgan? I see what happened here. He hung her from the tree and put on her shoes. He was really enjoying it. A sicko. He knelt down. And disgusting.
Yeah, this game is really good at mismatching score and dialogue, isn't it? After the profiling, York realizes the killer was kneeling in front of her as a way to worship her, not perform a sexual act on her corpse as originally thought. York ponders about Miss Stiletto Heels, as York dubs her, stating she must have been the one to take the circular object that was in Anna's hand before running away.
How many women wear high stiletto heels in this town, do you think?
Oh, I should think most of them have at least 1 pair. I do too, before you ask. But nobody would come all the way out here wearing them, except maybe one person.
Diane, the owner of the art gallery. But she's out of town for a big art auction.
We'll come back to Diane soon enough.
Where in town can you find something like this? It should be a building that isn't used anymore, with either a lot of metal or metal machinery or something like that.
The old lumber mill.
So now it's time to head off to the lumber mill. I swear I'm not this bad as a driver. It's just the controls are really this bad.
I'm going in alone. You two stay here. I can't concentrate on profiling with other people around me.
What? You had no trouble like 15 minutes ago. York explains that anyone can be a suspect, including them, and both take exception to that. For some reason.
Is he making fun of us? We should have left him behind and come here by ourselves.
You're right. I've never been so insulted.
I mean, guys, he's not wrong. Cops are human. They can and have committed murders in the past. I mean, if you're not involved, then you're eventually going to be cleared. York goes in alone and once again is pulled into the red world.
Hear that, Zach? If they're pros, then we should let every first-person shooter gamer out there join the SWAT team.
Damn, York, don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel about local cops. The lumber mill is the biggest map so far and has multiple rooms and areas to explore. Eventually, you'll see the raincoat killer enter a room ahead of you. When York follows him in, he finds where Anna was killed. The red curtains are giving me a Cheryl and Alessa vibe. The 4 clues in this area are a reverse peace sign painted on the phone room wall, strands of red hair, a fake fingernail, and a piece of raincoat. York goes through the lumber mill looking for these clues to profile, but first, sleep. Good thing I wasn't murdered. The killer called this specific phone, so he should know where York is. I don't think this killer's very smart. When exploring, you'll hear a baby crying incessantly until you reach a Chipotle bathroom. Gross! Yeah, and no joke, you have to find all these bloody, or maybe it's rust, toilets in order to get through this part of the game. York comes across a double door with hands painted on it. It's really cool looking. I actually really like this door. Along with a hand-shaped doorknob, which you have to get from a tree that has multiple hand doorknobs on it. This same doorknob is where you get the third clue of a broken fake fingernail. I did say this game was weird.
Get it off me! Get it off me!
I'm getting some conflicted messages from you here. Oh, now you know where he is when you call. Huh. That's probably bad. York hides while the killer breaks down the door, then looks around for like 2 seconds and has a hissy fit and leaves. Dude, really? There's 3 hiding places and 1 exit and you couldn't find him? This is what you're up against, York!
Zach, this is a waste of time. Let's go.
You almost killed York! Why do you sound so bored? I mean, I'm assuming this was supposed to be said before he saw the killer outside the door? After that, according to York, waste of time, he goes to leave but is blocked off by the killer who gives chase. Go around them, York! Not kidding, by the way. If you didn't know this was coming and destroyed all these boxes beforehand, York will stop to push them instead of going around. It is the most mind-boggling part of this entire game. Oh, and did I mention it's one of those button mashing moments everyone just loves in games? But instead of hitting a button, you have to move the L stick back and forth as fast as you can the whole time. I think it's like a 2-minute event, and that doesn't sound long until you're actually toggling the joystick. That's what she said. And there's 2 of these events in this level. As York continues on his investigation, he's once again attacked by the raincoat killer in pretty much the same way as the beginning of the game. It's almost like the game designers didn't feel like giving the raincoat killer any more animations. I mean, he could just come right back down, right? It's an elevator.
Have you seen any of these things before?
No, not that I know of. But that raincoat is a little odd.
Odd? In a town where it rains so much?
No. Well, there's an old story. Folklore. Something about a killer in a raincoat who appears on rainy nights. Most of the shops still close up when it rains.
Most of the shops close? I want to know which ones are staying open. I'm guessing the liquor store? Bars? And then York decides to switch topics in the most jarring way possible.
Oh, by the way, would you 2 kindly show me your backs?
Okay.
The person with the upside-down peace mark in that photo we found. He's our killer.
And what makes you so sure about that?
Zach and I saw him kill Anna in the lumber mill. He killed her. Right in there.
Oh, one thing. Please don't ask me about Zach. That's a private matter.
George, I don't think this guy is an actual FBI agent.
Anyway, by showing me your backs, we can clear up most of my concerns about you.
The picture he found was of a muscular man. I'm pretty sure it's not Emily.
Are you satisfied now?
Huh?
George.
What are these scars?
Just like your Mr. Zach. Something private.
He lets them know they're no longer suspects and thanks them for their cooperation before asking a favor of George.
George, can we arrange to have the townfolk gather in one place? There's some things I want to address with the townfolk.
Very well. I'll arrange to have as many as possible gather in the community center tomorrow.
Thank you, George.
I love what an asshole he could be sometimes. The three part ways after making arrangements to meet the following day, and it's time to head back to the hotel. But first, I have to go to George's house and ask him something really important.
George, which do you prefer, mustard or hot sauce?
Hey! He didn't answer my question. Maybe I can check out some places that are actually open first. Oh, hey, I knew it. The bar is open even though it's raining. I don't think that's how you're supposed to clean the countertops, dude. Huh. Look at him go. He just shimmied right through the wall there. I'm beginning to think this game might have a few glitches. Oh, by the way, if you're out late, the whole town is engulfed in the red world until 7 a.m. I don't have too much to say about it other than it's funny to run down the shadows with your car. There's also giant Dobermans randomly around the town. It would be scary if it just didn't remind me of Clifford. He's a bitch and a half to kill, though. Look at this shit. Look at all the rounds he's soaking up. Oh god, finally. What? You only get $17 for killing it? That's not worth it.
Greenvale Community Center. Now that's an impressive building.
I don't understand why the dialogue keeps getting drowned out by the music. It just seems like something really easy to fix.
I'm Special Agent Francis York Morgan.
Why is Thomas on stage in a smoker's chair instead of being at the table?
I asked to have you gathered here so I can share some advice in order to minimize the risk of further fatal incidents.
York tells residents to stay away from isolated areas, avoid going out while raining, and ask women to be especially careful. Oh, don't worry, York. If I learned anything in 2020, it's people will definitely listen to the advice of authority figures educated on the subject they're warning about. Yup. York finishes up his speech, then, oh great, more cryptic bullshit from Michael and Mr. Stewart. You know there's a fine line between eccentric and obnoxious. I should know. He, as in Mr. Stewart, tells York that the purple fog when it rains is the key to solving the case, and when York is ready to come to his mansion to discuss further about it.
Cut the poetic rubbish, Harry, and tell us what you know. We can force you to talk, you know.
Eat a bowl of dicks, so says Mr. Stewart. So if the player hasn't before, they have a chance to meet the named townfolk and speak with them. A lot of them are incidental to the plot and just serve to widen the pool of suspects, though many you can run side quests for. My personal favorite side character, to no one's surprise I'm sure, is Brian the Insomniac, who's the town's gravekeeper. Us Insomniacs gotta stick together!
Anna. Oh, she was so beautiful. Too soon.
Probably best not to leave Anna's body with old Brian here. There's also Quint, the flying guy from the bar earlier. He was Anna's friend and Becky's boyfriend. I'm just gonna tell you this now. York finds out during a side quest that Quint was a drug dealer. He'd supply a special drug to Anna and her unnamed friend. Put a pin in this for now. Oh, there's Carol, Thomas's sister.
Anna was an airhead.
What do you mean? Are you saying she was killed because she was an airhead? Or are you saying that she was an airhead for being killed?
I'm sure she's still an airhead, even in heaven.
Isaac and Isaiah said that Anna was a fairy of the forest. A goddess.
Okay. Weird reaction. Then there's Olivia and Nick. They own the diner, the A&P, where Anna worked. Olivia's kind and a bit of aloof, while Nick is rude, condescending, and dismissive.
Can you tell me if you noticed anything strange about Anna before the incident?
Well, you see, the diner closes when it rains. Anna always seemed unfocused the day after it rained, and came in late, too. It was almost as if she used up all her energy the day before.
Keith and Lily are the parents of Isaac and Isaiah, and own the town's grocery store. Lily is very soft-spoken and seems to be a gentle, if not a little odd, person. And Keith is Keith.
You lit my soul, man. Thanks, FBI.
Cowabunga!
Becky works for them, and Lily mentions she's been acting strange.
I took the boys along to visit her house today. I was just worried, you know, because she hasn't come into work at all after that incident. But she took in the boys and told me to wait outside. Something about a special secret between just the three of them.
You let someone take your kids who said you couldn't come in because her and your children have a special secret? And that didn't alarm you at all?
Jim, thanks for your help in the forest. How are Isaac and Isaiah?
They're fine. I want to keep them away from the filth of the material world as much as I can. And that's why I want you to solve this case quickly and go home. Those rumors about that scar of yours do more damage than good around here.
How is it remotely York's fault that there's rumors about the scars on his face? They make it sound like he should be wearing a Phantom of the Opera mask. Here's an idea, morons. Ask him, and if he's comfortable disclosing that information, he will. What would you say if it turned out he got it from being abused as a child? I don't understand how having a facial scar is any way tantamount to something sinister. Oh, and by the way, George has a facial scar, but nobody seems to care about that, huh? Anyway, Gina runs the gas station with her brain-dead, stupid hairdo-having husband, Jack.
I'm Jack. They call me Raging Bull.
Who? Who calls you that, Jack? Your friends from high school that are either dead or in jail? Nobody calls you that. Shut up. I would like to introduce you to this game's version of the Log Lady, Roaming Sigourney, also known as the Pot Lady.
Zach, we've met all sorts today, but really, she takes the cake. Amazing.
After talking with everyone, George requests that York lets everybody go home, to which York agrees and follows George outside. Why is that turkey sandwich blue?
We're going out to eat at Nick's Diner. Would you like to come with us?
The diner? That might be nice.
They talk about small crimes that took place in the town when Emily makes the mistake of asking York about cases he worked on.
Case I was on until last month. Well, the guy killed 7 girls in a 3-month period. He sawed their heads off from the neck and took them back to his house. He cleaned the skulls up and used them as utensils in his daily life. He'd fill skulls with ice, cola, and rum, and he'd down it in one gulp.
Thank you, Agent York. Now, let's talk about something else.
That's a shame, isn't it, Zach? I was just about to get to the good part, too.
Good part? They talk more about Anna's case before Thomas gets overwhelmed by the topic, starts crying, and George calls it a night. Great work, team. Back at the hotel, York gets into bed, fully clothed in a button-up suit and dress slacks and shoes, I should add, and talks to Zach about Emily.
Oh, and on Emily's back, it was strange to me.
I don't recall anything being weird about...
Hey, don't take that the wrong way, Zach. I wasn't getting all excited or anything.
I wasn't accusing you of getting excited, but now I think you might...
Rain. I think this case may take a while.
Yeah, sure, change the subject. This conversation was getting weird anyway. Good night, York! So we're about to hit some major spoilers, so I'm going to stop the video here. If you like what you see so far, go check out Deadly Premonition, as I left out a lot intentionally. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in part 2.
Are you serious?
I never joke about matters like this.
Hey, real quick, the book that Spoon was reading was The Year Without Halloween by Shane Bitterlin. Or Bitterling. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. The story's really cute, the pictures are really cute, so, you know, go get it if you'd like, or not. I'm like, not your parent, I can't force you to do it. Link in description.